Hello and welcome to the BeingTribal Podcast. I'm your host, Rena Whitaker, founder of BeingTribal. And today we have a great show for you. Kim Rosenberg, who's a dear friend of mine and my financial planner, is also a highly respected wealth manager at Coldstream Wealth Management. Kim has been practicing for 14 years as a certified financial planner. And she's currently finalizing her work to earn a designation as a certified financial transitionist. This means her specialty will focus on guiding clients who are going through significant life transitions like divorce or loss of a spouse or even a windfall of money. Kim takes that holistic approach to achieving her clients' financial goals while integrating her clients' emotional connection to their money and helping them make their money work for them. Kim leads her clients toward their dreams by guiding them through financial planning, investing, understanding tax implications, and estate planning. She believes in the power of developing a more successful and satisfying relationship with money. So grab a pen and paper because you're going to want to take note of Kim's wisdom. Prepare yourself for a brilliant woman, an amazing leader and coach, and a fantastic financial advisor. Welcome, Kim Rosenberg. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, Rena, I am honored and delighted, and thank you for that introduction. My gosh, I feel honored and loved and supported, and I'm really thrilled to share some thoughts and ideas with your audience. And I'm a humongous proponent of being in a tribe. I think I was one of the original with you, and being in a tribe has helped me go through some very serious transitions and given me the strength to share those wisdoms with others, which is really the genius of being tribal.
I love that. I love that. Yes, yes. Kim was one of the women in my tribe that helped me write my book. And it was such a powerful experience with these amazing women. So, Kim, before we started here, I asked you if you would please share your story and then 3 wisdoms that you could share with our tribe. So I'm going to hand it over to you to take the mic and begin with your story and some wisdoms to share with these amazing women listening today.
Well, I asked myself, what's my story? And I'll tell you one story, and it started 7 years ago. As I looked over countless bills, my husband had just died, and he'd left me with $200,000 of medical and credit card debt. I did not want to hear another person from a credit card company or an insurance company tell me through the phone, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, Mrs. Rosenberg, but there's nothing we can do." They didn't really care that I'd lost my husband 3 weeks ago to a very long bout of cancer, and the medical bills skyrocketed. They just wanted to get the pushy lady off the phone. You know, Rena, I didn't blame them, but I also didn't want to constantly be reminded that he had died, and I was left to clean up the mess. After not really getting any help, I put my head down on the desk and I cried. Before my husband died, I was the one holding everything together. Like a lot of you, I was trying to juggle too many things, and I literally lost any kind of control over our family's finances, let alone investing in myself and growing my wealth. Working full time, caring for a sick family member, raising 3 kids, caring for aging parents, I was a machine. I put on a mask and I showed the world that I could do it all, but it wasn't true. I was exhausted, burnt out, and resentful. I felt like an imposter. Why? Well, because I'm a financial advisor. I would spend my days giving sound financial advice on investing, saving, paying off debt for my clients. And at night, I would come home and not open my bills. I was drowning in shame. And I knew I had to be my own life preserver. I had to take the advice I was giving every day and change my behavior. I had to get a tribe. Rena asked me for my 3 wisdoms. Well, I'm cheating with Rena. I have 5, and you'll see why in a second.
I love that. I love that.
I'm going to tell you the 5 secrets. Money, M-O-N-E-Y. Maybe some of you want to take notes because they may act as a life preserver for you. Are you ready?
Ready.
Number
Bring it
1,
on.
M, make peace with the past. O, own your story. N, know what you want, know what you have, know what you owe, know what's coming in, and know what's going out. Okay, I know the word starts with a K, not an N, but we all love a good acronym, don't we?
Yes. Yes.
E, experience gratitude, and Y, you are your number 1 investment. Would you like me to go into a little bit more detail?
Oh my gosh, Kim, I'm writing this down. I'm really excited. Yes, bring it on. We want more
Okay.
detail.
All right. M, make peace with your past. So after that story I just told, I literally had to sit down and forgive my husband for creating the debt. What do I mean? Well, I had to accept that I couldn't blame him for getting sick or spending money that we didn't have just because he wanted our kids to have memories with him. I also had to get rid of my anger that our healthcare system didn't cover so many of our medical expenses, and it often bankrupts families if there's an illness or an accident, especially women.
Yes.
This wasn't easy, but I had to accept the reality and let go. He wasn't coming back, the bills weren't going away, and most of all, I had to forgive myself and make peace with my past. So, tribes, for your first accountability challenge, either do it by yourself, but ideally with a friend. Take a moment to make peace with your past. Maybe you felt ashamed about buying something. Maybe you have debt you haven't paid off. Maybe you buy things for your family to get love. Whatever it is, write it down and say, I need to make peace with. Make peace with your past.
That's so powerful. Kim, it's what you helped me do when I first started coming to you. And I will tell you, tribes listening to this is such okay. I'm so excited. I'm tingling with joy and I'm just in awe of you. Okay, so let's go to O. I'm so excited to hear
Good.
next. Yeah.
Oh, good. You're catching it.
I'm catching it.
Own your story. I grew up, like many of you, with a scarcity mindset, thinking I wasn't enough. I didn't deserve to have wants. I have to give to get. My parents were affected by their upbringing. My mom was abandoned by my biological father when she was 25 years old with 3 kids. She married again for financial security, and nothing was going to interfere with that security, including giving her kids anything frivolous or fun. My dad, an orphan at 19 with no family to support him, built an incredibly successful business all by himself. A widow with 2 kids, he married my mom. Not sure if he was happy that we came with the package. And at the second, and this was a second set of kids for him. He felt the burden of providing for us, and we knew never to ask him for anything, because if we did, we thought my father would leave my mom and then we would have no money. I was taught, even if I have money, it can go away at any moment. Don't want anything, don't get attached to anything. So then, Rena, once I was clear about that narrative, once I really understood what they went through, I was able to reframe all those inherited message and rewrite my own money story, which gave me the freedom to begin to take care of myself and actually enjoy my life. I owned my money story. Accountability challenge, tribes. I'd like you to answer this question again alone, but ideally with somebody else. As a child, my parents taught me that money, once you've answered that question, you can write, now that I'm an adult, I commit to creating a new narrative story about money, and it will look like this.
That is so powerful, Kim. I want to add this to my vision board too, right?
I love it.
Yeah, this is so wonderful. Okay. You made peace with the money, right? We need to make peace with our
past.
With our past, excuse me. We own our money story, which is so okay. So let's talk about N.
Which is K. Okay, remember
yeah,
what you want.
Okay,
and,
okay, let's talk about
N. N sounds like N, knowing what you want, knowing what you have, knowing what you owe, knowing what's coming in, and knowing what's going out. A lot. Where do you start? Well, I know you're going to love this. You create a new habit of personal self-care, a personal money practice, a money date with yourself. It must have fun. It must be compassionate and in some ways rewarding, whatever that looks like to you. I recommend finding your first date with yourself or a friend, identify your values. Are they different than those values you grew up with? Example, rather than following my mom's habit, which is buying all food on sale anywhere, I wanted to align with my values of protecting the earth. So I wanted to buy organic food. Even though organic food is more expensive theoretically, I believe the chemicals used to fertilize crops is damaging to the earth. And I know I can find a way to buy organic and stick with my spending plan. Most importantly, I will be aligned with my values, with my spending. So first date, identify your values. Second date, create and identify your short and long-term goals. Example, in October 2022, I want to visit my best friend in Florida. That's going to cost $3,500. 7 months from now, 35 divided by 7, that means I need to save $500. So I have $3,500 in October by the time I'm ready to visit my friend. That's a short-term goal. I want to remodel my kitchen in 2025. Cost $50,000. That's 36 months from now. If I start saving $1,300 now, I'll have enough money when that kitchen needs to be remodeled. Another one, retire at 64 with enough money in my retirement to live in the same way I do now. $1,500. That's a calculation that can be figured out. But what you're doing is you're identifying what you want, you're putting a stake in the ground saying what you want, and you're figuring out when you want it and how much it's going to cost. So during that second date, you've really set those goals up. Third date, calculate what's really coming into your pocket. Really look at how much is coming in. So you may say, oh, I make $100,000 a year or whatever it is, and your paycheck doesn't reflect that. We want to really be honest about the dollars that are coming in, because that's how you determine how much can go out. And it also can help you, if you would like more money, negotiate a different salary or do different work or maybe change your work. But really being honest about what's coming in is crucially important. And that takes a whole date sometimes. And it takes a love and compassion and honesty. And then the last date, again, you see this is not all at one time. This is spread out. Again, you maybe have a glass of wine, maybe you have another friend. But the fourth date is, I call it, come to Jesus or whatever you want to call it, which is figure out really what you're spending. And it's not about shame. It's not about tightening your belt. It's just really look where those dollars are, where they're going. And think about, is that where I want my dollars to be going? Do I really want this much money to be going to eating out or shoes or paying for my kids' car insurance, even though they're 27 years old? Whatever it is, looking at those numbers in a compassionate, loving way is one of the most profound, loving things you can do for yourself.
Kim, I love this because so often we're taught, make a budget first, and that determines everything. And I love this showing up and loving yourself first and creating this really mutually appreciative and mutually compassionate relationship around money, dreaming big about what you want to do, creating a plan of action, and then looking at how you're spending it and how you can make those things come to fruition. I think this model of devotion to yourself and your money first, and then creating that budget of making sure it's aligning with your devotion is so powerful. And it's really opposite of how we're often taught around money. I love the 4 steps of dating your money. This is really powerful. Thank you. I'm so excited. This is really, really great. And
you nailed it, girlfriend.
Wow.
Because you picked up on prioritizing the goals, because once you have listed those goals out, then you can make choices, because you can say to yourself, it's really important to me to do X. Let's say it's, as I said, visit a friend, right? And then you can say, that's more important to me than buying a pair of shoes. Okay, I'm going to be in charge. I get to be in charge of where that dollar goes. I get to be in charge. And I love that you said thinking big, because I believe once you put a goal out there, then you become creative of how to achieve it, right? Let's say you want to go to Italy. You don't have to go the same way everybody else does. Maybe there's a service trip. Maybe there's other ways to accomplish goals that you have in a very creative way. But until you write them down with a specific time frame and a way to what it looks like, you won't have a way to become creative and figure out a way to get there. And so I really appreciate that you picked up on the thinking abundantly first and then figuring out how you can make it work.
This is so delicious. Okay, I think I'm calling it delicious. This is delicious wisdom. I love it. Okay, so M.O.N.E.Y.
I wanted to say one thing on the money part. I never use the word budget because it is a very similar word to diet. That is a restrictive word. You're saying you can't eat, you can't spend. And what we're actually doing is spending and are eating. So what you're doing is creating a spending plan. You are deciding how you are going to spend that money. You're not limiting because you're making the choice. And so make sure we remember that budget is a dumb word, it's the same as diet. It's a dumb word, and it keeps you in a trap of scarcity.
Wow. Okay. That may be my favorite sentence. Like that's really powerful. Spending plan versus budget. And you do see that when given what you've just shared, and you do see the context of, okay, that is abundance versus scarcity right there.
Yep.
Wow. Powerful.
Yep.
Okay.
So the accountability challenge on this one, which, we might want to have another podcast about this, which is you want to automate your spending. So all those savings goals, are very automated, so you don't have to think about it because
Mm.
the brain works very interestingly. The more you automate your ritual and your habits with technology, specifically money, there's so much technology to automate, the easier all of this planning is going to be. I promise. I use it with all my clients, no matter what their wealth is. If they make $25,000 a year or if they're millionaires, they all use this strategy of automating your spending. And so we can talk about that again at another time.
Consider yourself invited. I'm in. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Okay. E, experience gratitude. So
Mm.
maybe you've heard that being grateful can make you happier, but did you know that having a daily gratitude practice might also make you more money? A guy named Dr. Robert Emmons, director of psychology at UC Davis, has done extensive research on the topic of gratitude and wealth. He found grateful people are less stressed, happier, and make more money. Makes sense. Who wants to work with someone who's nasty and ungrateful, politics aside? People who are more grateful tend to be less materialistic. Another good thing for your spending plan. Gratitude can keep you present in the moment, focusing on what is great versus what sucks in your life. Focusing on what's good mitigates worry. When you worry less, you make better decisions.
Wow. Okay. I want you to repeat that. I want you to repeat that.
I know, isn't it crazy?
Very good.
But think about it.
Yeah.
When you worry less, your brain has more space to make better decisions.
So simple and so true, Kim. This is really, and I love the idea that, of course, when you're grateful, you're not seeking some immediate satisfaction of new shoes or a new coat or a new car, or whatever that may be, because you already are so grateful for what you already have.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. I'm redoing my kitchen and it's over budget, and I started freaking out, and I went back to breath and I went back to being present. And because of doing that, I was able to come up with some creative solutions to help manage the remodel in a way that I felt empowered rather than it taking over me. And so this just happened to me literally a couple weeks ago, and I promise you it works. And what I mean by that, what works is giving you ownership of how you're going to act in a situation.
Mm.
And that has to do with gratitude. So, accountability challenge. Automate gratitude. Weird, huh? Automate gratitude. Automate it with a friend too. Sometimes that looks like meditation, and that doesn't have to mean half an hour, but it could mean a alarm on your phone, right? Automate it. Write it in your calendar, and a gratitude practice in your calendar. Have an online journal. Have a gratitude practice when you brush your teeth. That's another very psychologically strong thing to do. You already have a practice in place. Add another practice to a habit that you already have in place because you're already doing it, right? So you're brushing your teeth, that might be your gratitude practice. And then my favorite one actually is when you're stopped at a red light, rather than be frustrated and feel like you're late, have a gratitude practice.
Mm. These are great. And they're simple.
Super
very simple. Yeah. I do the red light thing. I like to, when I stop, I like to stop and just take a moment to be thankful for all I have, thankful for this moment. Even if I'm late or I'm early, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Because, when you get there, you get there. But I do that when I'm out and about. I also do that meditation and gratitude in the morning and at night, because I really want to make sure that when I go to bed and sleep, I just say my prayers, and I really grateful for everything I have in my life, because that puts me in a different mindset than I'm worried about what I'm not accomplishing.
Yep.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, I'm really committed to that idea that gratitude is part of your money practice, is the gratitude part. Okay, lastly, why you are your number one investment. I don't have time to give you a tutorial on investments today, but I do want to give you some tips. Invest in your income. That's an asset. Everyone says invest in stocks or whatever. Invest in your income. Figure out ways to maximize that if that makes sense. Learn to negotiate your salary if you work for somebody else. Know what you're worth, for God's sakes. I know, Rena, this is a topic that is very near and dear to your heart. And it is all entwined with your money story. Invest in your health, invest in your education, and invest in relationships. Why? Because if you don't, the cost of those is extremely high. The cost of being sick, the cost of not having the right education, and the cost of relationships falling apart, we know are all extremely expensive. So rather than investing on the outside, invest on the inside. Many of you have a fear of investing on outside stocks. I get it. I really get it. If you watch financial news on TV, you would think that the stock market is crashing every day. I just want you to know that these people are paid to tell you this. They want you to buy and sell and worry. And the funny thing is, worrying and making changes is the worst thing you can do. Overall, the stock market, if you will, we'll talk about this part, it goes up and it goes down. But over 100 years, it actually ends up going up. It really does. And the best thing you do is pick a strategy, get some help to find a strategy if you're able, and stick with it and manage it once a year like you're going to the doctor, and leave it alone, because ultimately it's going to do what it's supposed to do.
Isn't it true that mutual funds on average historically have had an increase of at least 12%? Is that correct?
It depends. Every investment has a different job. It's funny you should say that. And so it just depends on everything. Let me rephrase that. Every investment has risk, including cash. Everything has risk. And so one of the important things to do is figure out how comfortable you are with that risk, how comfortable you are with it, the numbers going up and down, and then what that risk buys you. Because there are statistics of what different investments can buy you. And what I mean by that is, how can they grow over time to benefit you overall? And so the question that you said is, some might over time have that increase, but not all of them do. And the key thing is you want to have a lot of different investments in what they call a portfolio. You want to have a lot of a little bit, because if one of the investments that you're in has a bad year, another investments might have a good year. And so you want to kind of spread out that risk. So no matter what happens, you've got protection and you're covered, but you've also got a little bit of growth.
Now, I want to make sure that all our listeners know that because I know Kim and I trust Kim, I am putting all of her contact information in the show notes that you'll see in the podcast. Her, how to reach Kim, how to work with her, ask questions. She is a wealth of resources, and we're not covering individual advice here. That's something that is individual and personalized, and she can work with you. But I just want to make sure that we'll add her contact information in the show notes, so you'll know how to reach out to Kim directly, because she is a wealth of information and one that I personally trust and advocate for. So I just want to say that before we go to the next step.
Thank you, Rena. And you nailed it, actually, because even if you watch TV or you read something in the news, your situation has nothing to do with everybody else. You have your own unique situation. You have to make your own plan, because it's going to be different for you than it is for somebody else. So I really appreciate you said that. Accountability challenge, but I do want to give you some tips. One, if you do work for a company, I really encourage you to set up an appointment with your HR person and learn about retirement options at your company. And that's where you can meet with, usually there's a representative that is in charge of giving advice for the retirement plan at your office. You want to meet with that person individually and have them explain to you what your options are and how the company's retirement plan can best benefit you. So reach out for help. That's what your company is paying for that, and it does exist. So take advantage of it. It's scary, and you can ask questions galore because that's what they're there for. And don't assume that you have to know anything, because you don't, because we're never taught this. None of this money information I've shared with you today has ever been taught to most people. We're expected to know it, and we're never taught it. And it's really a shame. So that's why I get to do my work, which is so lucky. The other thing is perhaps listen to one podcast on money. I really like a woman named Jean Chatsky. That's Chatsky. She has a wonderful podcast. It's half an hour. It covers really the gamut of lots of different money issues. And she speaks to women mostly. And she talks in a way that resonates with issues around what women are experiencing. And I really like her. So as an accountability challenge, just take one step and maybe just listen to a podcast and see if you like her and see if it resonates.
And what's her name again, Kim?
Jean, 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 Chatsky, Chatsky. I believe she was the money editor on like one of the morning shows, like Good Morning America. I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay, great.
She's
okay,
lovely, personable, and maybe it'll spark your interest, and you can look on the podcast to see maybe there's a topic that you have a question about that you can kind of search and maybe listen to it if you have a question about something. I think it's overwhelming how much information there is online. And so to have somebody like Jean or myself distill all that information down to answer some basic questions, to start building your confidence or start creating curiosity, I think is a wonderful way to start. So as I said, the why, and invest in yourself. Really think about what that means and start with yourself, and then think about investing for your wealth. Kind of review. M, make peace with the past. O, own your own story. N, know what's coming in and what's going out. E, experience gratitude. And Y, you are your number one investment. Make a money date with yourself once a month and say, I invest in me. I share these secrets today because I believe every woman, Rena, every woman should have the knowledge to create her own wealth. It is time for a new generation of financially savvy women. The first step to defining our voices, our power, and our impact will come through being responsible for defining and creating our own wealth. This starts here. Please join me in this money movement, each one of you. Together, we will bring personal strength and power to ourselves. We will be a role model for our daughters, and we will use our money to actually shift history.
Well, I tell you, if you could see me, I'm jumping up and down, like waving my hands up in the air with pom-poms. I mean, this is just so powerful. I'm moved by what you just said. I loved everything you shared today. I'm so excited to, work with you on even creating a blog post on this to connect this, talk with it. Kim, you're such a leader. And I also appreciate your story of waking up and thinking, I'm a financial advisor, and yet here I am in this moment of feeling like a fraud. Every woman listening to this podcast has had that feeling of, I'm an imposter. We learn from these things. We learn from these moments of growth where we wake up and say, I am not living my truth. And that is that spark of light that comes to us when we say, okay, but now I can start. We find ourselves in moments where we can say, today's a new day. Today, I'm going to start something new. And for you to have to go through the experience of losing your husband to cancer, with young children in the house, having to be the sole provider and navigating out of this really difficult spot is what so many would say is superhuman. And yet you create a pathway forward for all of us, no matter where we are right now in this moment, whether we are believing that there's scarcity around us or we believe in abundance. You've created next steps on how to get to a place of abundance and gratitude, and have a plan and follow your M.O.N.E.Y money principles. I'm so grateful for what you've shared today and the change, instigate in women's lives.
I ended my comments because sometimes we want to do stuff. I'm telling you to do some of this work because I think it's better for you. But I really do believe, and I know you do too, women, Rena, that we're in an age of transition where women are owning their power. And this is a part of this movement. We all, in a good way, can feel the responsibility of taking this on, not only for ourselves, but for each other. And I think that's such a compelling reason also to know that we're not alone when we tackle this really emotionally charged part of our lives. And to have the opportunity to hopefully do it with our tribe is only going to strengthen all of us and make us all feel like we can do it together, because we all are sharing so many of these secrets and sharing so many of these fears of not being able to get through some of these money issues. And I firmly believe using our tribes is one of the most powerful way to help guide us and get us through, not through, but strengthen us and help us own this part of ourselves.
Being tribal, love conquers hate every day. We have to love ourselves first. We need each other, and everything is possible. Those 4 tribal truths are resounding. Yeah, are resounding in what we just said. Together we rise. Uterine rising.
Yep.
We can lift each other up and do this work for ourselves and for each other together. And it is a new day for women.
Love it.
So I have my final question that I ask. What would you tell your younger self?
Well, first of all, I wish I would have known you when I was 20 and you would have asked me this question. So we could have gone, we could have had this exercise together. I would have tried to tell myself I'm worth it. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm worth it. I'm worth it. Because I know all of us have had that feeling where we don't feel like we are. And perhaps that's one of the benefits of being in a tribe also, is hearing that other people have felt that and maybe figuring out a way where we can teach each other how to tell ourselves that. I think if I would have said that, my experience with money would have been much different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have listened to other people. I wouldn't have deferred to my husband's choices. I wouldn't have deferred to other people. I would have owned my own story.
So many women listening right now are resonating with what you just said. I'm worth it. So Kim, I know we're going to put this in the show notes, but how do people get in contact with you? If they want to work with you, can they send you an email? What's your email address? Is there, how do they get in contact with you?
Oh, thank you. I think the best way is to send me a quick email, and please reference that you found me through this podcast, Being Tribal, or through Rena. And my email address is kim.rosenberg, ROSENBERG, at coldstream, coldstream.com.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for spending time with us today. Ladies, if you have any questions, you know that this podcast will not only be on all the popular streaming sites, it'll also be at BeingTribal.com, and I'll have Kim's contact information there. As always, if you have questions, you can reach out to me then. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you, Kim, for showing up with such great wisdom. Gorgeous blessings to you all. Blessings, light, and love. Bye-bye.